Welcome to Manifested Publishers.
Hello, my dear students. Welcome to our today's history and government lesson. I'm your teacher, Conan Gakure. I'm glad you are able to join me as we continue to learn about international relations in the world. And then we have been specifically, we have started looking at the Commonwealth as an international organization that is used or that is concerned with promotion of international peace. In our previous lesson, we learned or we defined what Commonwealth means, and we said it is an association of independent states that were part of the British colony or were part of British Empire. So these are states that gained independence and were colonized or were under the British Empire. So they came together to form this organization known as the Commonwealth. We said it was instituted in 1947. 1947 is the year when it started to operate as an organization, and this happened after the independence of India, right? India was a colony of Britain, and it is in Asia. So after India got her independence as a state, there was need for them to, or for the British to, together with the other dominions that had become autonomous before. Remember, we talked about the statute of the Westminster that allowed dominions within the British Empire to become autonomous or to have their own autonomy as a dominion. So they came together and decided to craft the Commonwealth, that members who are part of the British Empire could be able to join. So membership was open and it was free to any person who wants, or to any country, not person, any country or any member or any state that desired to join this organization was allowed to join. The only allegiance was that they could have to pay allegiance to the crown. They could accept the king or the queen of England as the head, as the overall head of the organization. So today we are going to study about the features. We're going to learn about the features of the Commonwealth. Features of the Commonwealth. That is what we are going to learn about in our today's lesson. And later on, we are also going to learn about the ideals and principles of Commonwealth. So let us start with the features. What characteristics do the nations that belong to the Commonwealth have in common? What encompasses this, or what makes them to be members of the Commonwealth? So the first characteristic is that they accept the Queen as the head of the organization. That is the first characteristic. All the nations or all the members of this Commonwealth accept the Queen as the head of the organization. That is the first characteristic. So the Queen is the overall head of this organization. Number two, they have similar education. They have similar education system. Similar education system. That means their education is almost similar. At the start, it was identical. Whatever they were teaching was identical. But now, with time, with development, and with changes in the world, countries have made or have adapted the education system according to the local needs. What are the situation in the country? So countries have been allowed to adapt the education system according to their necessities. What is it that they need to learn? What does the nation require? So with time, this has changed, but they have similar education system, not identical. Number three, or the next feature of the Commonwealth countries, the use of English as a common language. They use English as a common language. So English is their common language of communication. Actually, it is used as the official language. In these countries, the official language of communication is English. Though the countries or the nations may have other languages that are spoken in that nation, but the official language of the Commonwealth countries is English. So they have English as the common language. The next factor, number 4, they have cooperation. They cooperate in the field of education. So they have cooperation. They have similar training on the field of education. And then number 5, they appreciate. Members appreciate the culture of other member states. So they appreciate other people's culture or culture of the other members. Remember, these are different nations. As we mentioned in our previous lesson, there are so many countries or members of the Commonwealth who are drawn from different regions. For example, in Africa, we have members of Commonwealth in West Africa. We have members of Commonwealth in East Africa. We have members of Commonwealth in South Africa. These are people with different cultures. They have different beliefs. So a feature of Commonwealth is that each and every country, right, recognizes and appreciates the cultures of other members. And then number 6, all members participate in the Commonwealth Games. Members participate in Commonwealth Games. So there are games that are held regularly involving all the members of the Commonwealth. So they come together and compete. There are athletics. There are all manner of games. So these encourages interaction. So as they compete against one another, countries are able to learn from one another. Countries are able to travel. People are able to travel from one country to the other because the Commonwealth Games are held in different nations. So this allows the members to interact. And then number 7, or the next feature of the Commonwealth, they have economic ties. These countries help one another. The countries that have stronger economies, that have more developed economies, they help the poor nations. So in case there is a nation that is struggling, the more developed countries are able to come together and aid these poor nations. They also help in having trading activities. So countries in the Commonwealth have relaxed restrictions. They have free trade amongst themselves. They agree that members of the Commonwealth are able to trade freely in the Commonwealth area. That is about economic ties. And then there is consultation, number 8. Consultation and exchange. Consultation and exchange of information. There is consultation and exchange of information. So the member states or the heads of these states or members of the Commonwealth come together and exchange ideas. They consult whenever there is a problem or there is a challenge facing that is facing all the nations. They come together and exchange ideas. How best are we going to solve these information? So they also solve these problem. Pardon me. So they they exchange information to help them adjust better and to help them have better lives. And then the second last feature is that they have a common heritage of public institution. They have a common heritage of public institutions. So being part of the British Empire, they adopted most of their public institutions from the British. So you find the biggest or the most significant feature is the parliamentary system. Parliamentary system. Remember that in Britain they have a monarch, but that monarchy is not an absolute monarchy. They have a constitutional monarchy that is directed. We have the prime minister who is who heads or who has controls the affairs of the nation, and we have a very strong parliamentary system. So this is an example of an institution that was adopted by most of the members of the Commonwealth. So these they borrowed from Britain that had colonized most of them. And then lastly, they form a power block. They formed a power block. They formed a power block that has standards. And ideals. So the Commonwealth became a block. The countries became a block that they make decisions together, and then they make decisions together and accept or make decisions together. So they act as a block. So that is another feature. But now, of importance to note here, they have standards and ideals. That means members of the Commonwealth have certain beliefs. They have certain standards that they have to meet. They have the ideals that drive them, or that along which they have been crafted. So let us now look at what are these ideals, what are these standards that are held by the members of the Commonwealth. So the principles and ideals of Commonwealth. Nations. So what are these principles, and what are the ideals that each and every member of the Commonwealth organization is supposed to adhere to, is supposed to follow? So before we mention them, it's good to note that these were crafted. They were crafted by the heads of. They were crafted by the heads of nations. They were crafted by the heads of nations. So they are the people who came together and crafted these principles. They had a conference that was held in Singapore. There was a conference that was held in Singapore in the year 1971. There was a conference that was held of the heads of nations. All the heads of the Commonwealth nations came together in Singapore and had a conference that instituted the principles that are now followed by the Commonwealth. So they formed the Commonwealth Declaration. So they formed the Commonwealth Declaration of 1971. So they formed a document that is referred to as the Commonwealth Declaration of 1971. So these heads of states or heads of stations or heads of government, right, came together and formed a declaration. They pledged several things as their ideals or their principles. So these are the declarations that they made. The first one, they pledged support. They pledged support to the United Nations towards international peace. So that was the first declaration. They pledged that they are going to support the United Nations in its quest to maintain international peace and security. Peace and security. That is their first declaration. And then number two, they emphasized on the importance of liberty of individuals. They emphasized on the importance of liberty of individuals. They emphasized the importance of liberty of individuals, their rights and freedoms. So they acknowledge that every person, regardless of their race, regardless of their origin or where they come from, they have certain rights. They have their own liberties, rights, and freedoms. And these are not limited by someone's race. It's not limited by someone's origin, which was the case before that. Before now the process of independence, the Europeans thought they were a stronger or they were a better race compared to other people that had dark skin, right? So they consider themselves a superior race. But now from this declaration, they considered or they came to the acceptance that each and every human being, each and every person has their own personal liberties. They have their rights and freedoms, which are supposed to be taken seriously. And then number three, they pledged to remove all factors that promote discrimination. They pledged to remove all factors that contribute to discrimination and spread of wealth. So anything that contributed to inequalities in distribution of wealth was supposed to be removed. For example, if a country was going to take over another country, that is a factor that obviously makes the country that has been invaded unable to effectively control their own resources. So they say that no country should be able to be discriminated in terms of their wealth. And then number 4, they opposed all forms of colonial domination. They opposed all forms of colonial domination. They opposed all forms of colonial domination. That means that the members of Commonwealth had zero tolerance to any kind of colonization. No country was supposed to be colonized. So that means every nation that is supposed to be a member of Commonwealth could not colonize any other country, and any colonies that are held by members of the Commonwealth were supposed to be ceded, and they were supposed to be done away with. And then second last, that is number 5, the second last principle is that they were to allow free trade within members. So they were supposed to put in place measures to promote trade amongst the members. So members were allowed to trade internationally without so much restrictions. So the members of Commonwealth had an upper hand of trading with one another. That was another declaration that they made. This was in an effort to make sure that the countries or members of Commonwealth have stable economies. And then lastly, there was supposed to be international cooperation as a way of maintaining peace. That meant that the members of Commonwealth were supposed to work with one another. They were supposed to cooperate with one another in an effort to make sure that there is international peace. There is security amongst themselves. So no nation is supposed to advance against another. So they declared, the heads of state declared that they are supposed to, or they are going to cooperate amongst themselves and with other international organizations to make sure that there is peace, there is security, there is international calmness, there is international peace in the world. So those are the principles or the declarations that the heads of government made, and that now becomes the driving or the engine of the Commonwealth. These are the ideals in which each and every country that belongs to the or becomes a member of the Commonwealth is supposed to uphold and make sure that they are followed. So as we end our lesson, allow me now to give you a revision questions. And the questions are: number 1, identify the main features of Commonwealth countries. And then number 2, outline the driving principles of the Commonwealth. Number 1, identify the main features of the Commonwealth countries. That is the first question. And number 2, outline the driving principles of the Commonwealth countries. What are the principles or ideals of the Commonwealth countries? And with that, we have come to the end of our today's history and government lesson. Thank you for your time. Bye.